Hey everyone, Eric here with Chicago Bears Daily. Today I'm going to be talking about the draft. At the time that I'm filming this, the draft just recently concluded, and I think overall for a first draft, I gotta say I am not disappointed by Pohl's decisions. It seemed like he addressed all of the needs for the most part that we're looking for. We desperately needed linemen, and we got a surplus of them, I believe, 4 or 5 of them. We got the secondary, we got safeties and corners, receivers. We got an edge rusher. So, truthfully, I can't complain with the picks, and I think after watching the film on all of them, they're all pretty exciting to me. I think going in the second round, Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker, they seem like two guys that can help bolt down a secondary. And I know through interviews that Eberflus and Poles, they really want to focus on gritty, tough players to bring on this team, hardworking players. And after looking at the little bit of the film, obviously the highlights don't tell the full story because everybody's highlights look good, let's be real. That's why they're called highlights. But I think they seem like the kind of players that will give 100% of their effort on every play. Jaquan Brisker, he seems like the kind of guy to complement Eddie Jackson well. I think he looks like a heavy hitter. He looks like he's going to lay the hammer down on any receiver that comes into his territory and just tackle him, like really drive him into the ground. And I think if Eddie Jackson goes back to the play that he had when he was a Pro Bowler, back when he was a good tackler, he wasn't always going for fumbles. He actually wrapped up, and he's a hard hitter too. So I think the two of those side by side could really do some damage. And I think Kyler Gordon, opposite of Jalen Johnson, I think that's just the kind of guy that we're going to need there. He also seems like one of those gritty defensive players that will consistently give their full effort. And he kind of reminded me as like a Kawhi Leonard type. He didn't really show much personality in his interview or when he got selected, but he seems like he is agile, and he seems like he is someone that is going to go out there and really give his full effort, and he seems like he's just going to be a gritty kind of player. So I think that's exciting. In the third round, I really liked the pick of Elias Jones. I think he seems like he has like almost, you can't really say he has game-breaking speed, but he is shifty, he's fast, he is elusive. He seems like the kind of guy that would just rack up the run after catch yards. If Fields can get the ball to him on stride, it's going to be tough to stop him, especially if his route running is there and he's able to find holes in the defense. I think he's going to be a real problem, and I think he has potential as a kick returner too. I watched a little bit of highlights of him returning the ball, so I think I really like those picks overall. And then looking at Braxton Jones, our next pick at 168, the offensive tackle, he looks good. It's always hard to evaluate how an offensive lineman is going to play in the NFL, but I like that we picked 1, 2, 3, 4. We picked 4 offensive linemen. So I think with the surplus of offensive lineman picks, I really do believe that Pace is kind of he did stick to his word. He stuck to his word on wanting to pick offensive linemen, and initially I know people were concerned that we didn't take an offensive lineman with our first or our second or our third pick. It's relieving to see that Pace obviously he has to address the offensive line as a whole. And so to see him pick four guys in the draft, I think that was very exciting. And he also stuck with his word about being willing to trade down in the draft. We went from 6 picks to 11 picks, which I think is awesome. I mean, the players have to turn out right, but I think the more players that we've drafted, I think the better our chances were to hit a home run or get a steal. Obviously, because we had a lot of late round picks. But I have to say, overall, I'm excited by the potential. And one last thing, I think that safety that we drafted in the very end there, Elijah Hicks, I think he's gonna end up being a steal of the draft. He's a little undersized as a safety, but he really seems like a ball hawk. If you watch even 2 minutes of his film, he goes out there, he gets interceptions, he breaks up passes. He goes out there and performs. So I'm hoping he gets a fair opportunity. Just because he's a late round pick doesn't mean that he should not be willing to be, or he should not have the ability from the coaching staff to at least go out and show what he's got. I'm thinking if on those plays at least where Eddie Jackson and our new safety Jaquan Brisker, if those are the two starters to start the year, I'm hoping Elijah Hicks will have the opportunity to go out there on those plays where they're tired or they come out for a play, those kind of plays. And I hope when he gets those opportunities, I hope he goes out there and he makes some plays, because that would be awesome. And last thing, that punter that we got, Trenton Gill, with our last pick, that guy should be a linebacker with his size. He is 6'4", I believe, like a little over 200 pounds. I guess that's undersized as a linebacker, but as a punter, like, that's a big punter. So I know we lost our punter. I can't think of his name right now, but who cares about his name, because he went to the Packers, so he's a traitor. But Trenton Gill, I think, I didn't watch much of his film. Obviously, I mean, he's a punter. No disrespect to punters, that you can actually win games if with a good punter, but I'm hoping he can. I'm hoping. I gotta say, I think I'm happy with these picks so far. We'll have to see how they turn out. Fields got his protection. He got his weapons. And our defense was addressed. We got an edge rusher, and it's been hard to find much film on him, but he used to be a wide receiver, so he must be quick. And I think he'll be more of a project player. But I think overall, as far as the first draft goes, I think Poles had a good one, and to turn 6 picks into 11 picks, I think he did a good job. We'll have to see. I would give the draft rating a B or a B+. I don't want to be overly optimistic because, it's goofy to think with the late round picks. I mean, you can't predict who's going to be a standout. I'm excited with it, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming season. And I've watched pretty much the whole draft, so it was a good time, good football for a while, and now the off-season workouts are going to begin, and the new drafted rookies will get their feet wet on the field. Hopefully, Fields kind of builds a connection with our new receivers and our new running back, and I'm hoping our offensive line pans out, and we'll see what happens. I'm being optimistic, and I'm looking forward to the start of it. But yeah, I think that was a good draft overall. If you have any comments on the draft, if you like who we picked, if you disliked who we picked, if you think we could have done better, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm always happy to discuss these kind of things. And, yeah, go Bears.